As I was just trying to give the true picture of communism, and I talked about the Stalin edition of communism and I talked about Lenin edition of communism, although my study right now confines within the borders of Russia, within USSR, but in fact our concern is communism, our concern is not a country in fact. So I can share with you another example as well. Well, we've been talking about USSR, and I've been sharing with you the edition of Stalin communism and the edition of Lenin communism. On the same pattern, we've got Mao's communism. If we talk about China, Chinese were, so to say, the underdogs as mentioned by the Westerners. Well, I do beg my apologies, and I never want to be so offensive to any of the nation. In fact, I draw greatest of the respect for the Chinese. I draw greatest of the respect for the great leader Mao Zedong. So really don't want to use the words which were in fact an exploitation of the nation itself. So the Chinese were wretched, and they were exploited by the colonists, and China was a rich country. China was a prosperous country. China was a country with tremendous resources. But what happened when the Westerners reached there and they wanted to have their share in the resources of China, their share in the riches of China, they looted China, they exploited China. And then all those countries who talk about human rights today, they waged a war on China in the name of opium trade. Could it be justified to anyone, any of the audience today in 2023, that a Western state, Britain, reached Chinese shore and wanted to establish an opium trade with China, and of course China didn't allow it, and they waged a war against the poor nation of China in the name of opium. Yes, we call them opium wars. 1839. And of course Britain won the war, China lost, and then they had to pay the price for it. Yes, they got the relaxations, they got the concessions in trade. Concessions were provided to Britain, and yes, they got few islands on lease. The maximum lease on the British Constitution is that of 99 years, but they were able to exploit a poor nation of China to extend them a lease of 150 years. So Hong Kong was extended to Britain on a lease of 150 years from 1839 to 1989. And they waged a war on China, or not just one war, but many wars on China in the name of opium. Such a great country was in fact trampled down by the powers then, who didn't have any moral values at all. Mao Zedong came to rescue his nation. Let's talk about Mao's edition of communism.